Today, we'll be looking at your InBody report. But before we get to your result, let's start with the usual way we see if a person has excessive body fat, namely body mass index, or BMI. BMI is calculated from two simple pieces of data, height and weight. This results in a number that classifies the individual as being normal, underweight, overweight, or obese. BMI is a really good way of assessing the health of a population of people. For example, a population with higher BMI is likely to have a greater degree of excessive body fat and associated medical conditions than a population with a lower BMI. But it turns out that it may not be a reliable measure for a given individual where BMI may not match body fat percentage at all. For example, a person like this would have a high BMI, but so would a person like this. On the other hand, a person can have low or normal BMI, but high levels of body fat and relatively low muscle mass, the so-called skinny fat body type. The medical term for this is sarcopenic obesity, where sarcopenia means low muscle mass. Body weight measurement becomes even more problematic when tracking changes over time. For example, when losing weight, wouldn't it be nice to know if you're losing body fat or if you're also losing muscle mass along the way? After all, visceral body fat, the fat within our abdominal compartment, is closely linked to metabolic disease, and increased muscle mass is associated with improved insulin action, strength, and even lifespan. Now let's see what InBody testing tells us. The methodology used by InBody is bioelectrical impedance analysis, or BIA. This technique assesses the flow of tiny electrical currents through the body. The rate of the flow varies between different body components. InBody deconstructs the body into 5 cylinders, the 4 extremities and the trunk, and provides body composition in all 5 regions with a very high degree of accuracy. Now let's look at your own InBody report, which you can find in your InBody app. The detailed report will look like this. First, let's start with water. After all, about 50 to 60% of our body weight is due to water. At the top left corner, you'll see the intracellular component, or the water inside the cells, and the extracellular component, which is the water in your bloodstream and between the cells. If you move down the page, you'll see ECW-TBW analysis, which provides the ratio between the extracellular water and the total body water. This ratio will be between 0.36 and 0.39 for most healthy individuals. If your extracellular water is too high, this will make the ratio also high and can indicate fluid retention, which can occur for various reasons to include recent exercise, overtraining, menstrual cycle changes, inflammation, and certain medical conditions. Let's get back to the top of the graph, where you'll see the extracellular and intracellular water is added together to produce total body water. The next row is dry lean mass, which represents all the mineral and protein in the body. Much of the mineral in the body is from bone. The protein is predominantly in the muscle. If you look over to the right, you'll see lean body mass, which adds up the dry lean mass and the total body water together. So the lean body mass, which is also called fat-free mass, is the weight of the entire body minus body fat. And finally, in the last row, you'll see your body fat mass in pounds. Now let's move to the next section, which is the muscle fat analysis. This area will give you a good overall idea of your body composition and body type. You'll see your weight on the day of the test. You'll also see your BMI. Of course, if you stepped on a traditional scale, this was the extent of the information you'd get. The BMI is included in this report only to highlight how little you truly know from this number. Next, we see the skeletal muscle mass. Below that is body fat mass, both represented in pounds. Above this is a percentile. The range provided in the middle represents a healthy range adjusted for height and sex. The 100% mark is considered to be the middle of the healthy range for someone of your own height. When we look at these 3 bars, weight, skeletal muscle mass, and body fat mass, we can see 3 distinct patterns. This is the C pattern. In the C pattern, the shortest bar is the skeletal muscle mass, and the longer bars are weight and body fat mass. This typically occurs in an individual who is overweight or obese. The person is under-muscled relative to their body weight, and often benefits from increasing muscle mass and lowering body fat. This is the I pattern. In the I pattern, all 3 bars are roughly equal. This is a balanced body composition. If the I falls within the normal range, the person is adequately muscled with controlled body fat mass as well. This is the D pattern. If your skeletal muscle bar is longer than your weight and body fat bars, congratulations. You have the D pattern, which is typical of athletes and those who look closely at their nutrition and train regularly. Now let's move to the obesity analysis. Here you'll see how accurate your BMI is as a representation of your body fat percentage. For men, a healthy body fat percentage is considered between 10 to 20%. Women tend to have a greater body fat percentage than men to support reproductive health, with a healthy range between 18 and 28%. Now let's look at the most granular data on this report, which is a segmental lean analysis. This looks at all 5 segments of the body individually. It's a little complicated since these graphs represent comparison, and it's important to know what's being compared. The top bar shows how much lean body mass you have in pounds for each body segment. If you look above this line, you'll see how your lean body mass compares to what's expected for your ideal body weight. The bottom bar compares your lean body mass against your current body weight, which helps you determine if you have enough lean body mass to support your body weight, or 100% is considered sufficient. These graphs also allow you to see if you have a balanced or imbalanced muscle mass distribution. Here you may identify left versus right asymmetry or upper versus lower body asymmetry. The upper right section of this report is the body fat lean body mass control section. This provides recommendations to achieve the recommended body fat percentage for your sex. Depending on your current muscle and fat balance, you could be recommended to reduce body fat mass, increase muscle mass, or a combination of both. When you look at this recommendation, bear in mind that InBody sets a fairly aggressive target, which is 15% body fat for men and 23% body fat for women. Just moving towards this goal would be expected to produce meaningful benefits. Below this is the segmental fat analysis. This shows you how much body fat in pounds is in each segment of the body. The percentages compare you to an ideal average person of your height and sex. Visceral body fat is particularly important given its relationship to various conditions like type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, and cardiovascular disease. It's recommended to stay below a visceral fat level of 10, which equates to 100 centimeters squared of visceral fat area. The final region on the right is basal metabolic rate, which is an estimation of the number of calories you burn at rest. Bear in mind that this does not take into account calories burned in daily activities or exercise. If one achieves a caloric intake that matches the basal metabolic rate, the expectation would be a gradual weight loss week by week. So you just had a very detailed tour through your InBody report. Hopefully you've gained some actionable insights into your body composition to give you a clearer picture of where you stand and what you need to focus on to meet your health goals.